Hi everybody, this is Dr. Johnson and I want to go over helping you design a menu that meets the requirements for the CACFP guidelines. So there's a couple different resources I'm going to share with you, so navigate with me as I toggle back and forth. Here are the child meal patterns that are required for the CACFP. Now, your particular menu is going to focus on this age group of 3 to 5 years. So when we're looking at the requirements, this is the box that we want to look at. Now note, this first part is for breakfast, and then the second page is going to be for lunch and dinner. Now, your menu will not include dinner. It will only have breakfast, lunch, and snacks. Again, you want to be mindful about only looking in this particular column for the 3 to 5 years of age. And I'm going to scroll down here for all the different meal components. One last sheet, if you scroll to the bottom here, you're going to have the snack portion. Now this is important because snacks only require 2 of the 5 meal components. All right, and again, we're going to highlight this particular section where it's age 3 to 5 because you're designing a menu for preschool. So let's start with kind of a basic format design. So I'm going to go back here to this particular menu, this blank page. What is the best way to design this? For me personally, I like to have each day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now it's important to note that you will not have any weekend days. From there, you can include your breakfast, your snack, your lunch, and then later down here, another snack. Now, I would typically use a Word document, and I'm going to have this all in tables, but for the purposes of now, I'm just going to draw out my own table to help us kind of conceptualize how we get started. Now, for breakfast, it's important to know that there's 3 meal components required. We're going to have a grain, we're going to have a fruit, and we're going to have a milk component. Now remember, it always has to be a fluid milk. For snacks, it can be any 2 components. And then for lunch, we're gonna have all 5 components, which is your milk, your grain, your meat or meat alternative, your fruit, and your vegetable. All right, and then again, snack, any 2 components. So how exactly do we want to start here? Well, we want to know what counts as a grain, what counts as a fruit, what counts as fruits and vegetables, etc. So that's when we want to go back to the template here and identify what foods might fall in that category. So let's start with planning breakfast first. So fluid milk becomes very easy because fluid milk is, all we're going to do is put 6 ounces of fluid milk. That is something that's required all day, every day. So I'll go back here to my menu design, and a really easy way to go about this is to simply put every day of the week 3/4 cup of low-fat milk. I'm going to abbreviate here. 3/4 cup is the equivalent of 6 ounces of low-fat milk. So 3/4 cup, 3/4 cup low-fat milk, 3/4 cup low-fat milk, 3/4 cup low-fat milk. Awesome. We're done with the milk component. Now let's go back and see what's required for the grain. Now, if we look here, the grain that's required depends on what type of grain that we're providing. For example, if we are going to have a slice of bread, half of a slice is the minimum portion to equal 1 ounce. Or if we are going to have a ready-to-eat breakfast cereal, so things like Cheerios, it would be 1 ounce. I know that's missing right there. I apologize. So what about something where we're not sure what counts as a grain? We can go to a really handy resource of Choose My Plate. So when we click on choosemyplate.gov, if we need to know what foods count as what portion size, along here on the bottom we can click on the grain. And as you scroll down, you want to click on Learn More. And this will tell you all about the grain group. Now it's important to scroll down and determine what counts as a 1 ounce equivalent. So you can click that little plus button and it's going to drop down and provide you a laundry list of foods that are considered grains. All right, so for example, if we were to look at bagels and then what counts as 1 ounce equivalent, it would be 1 mini bagel. Or biscuit, 1 small biscuit would be 1 ounce. So when I'm looking at my meal requirement for the ounce, what is required, it depends on the type of grain that it is. But overall, it's going to be a 1/2 ounce portion. So what we can then determine is looking at this particular product and then saying, well, what would half of that be? All right. So if we know that 1 regular slice of bread is 1 ounce, in order to get the compliance of the minimum portion, we can put a 1/2 ounce of bread. So I'm going to go back to my menu plan here, and I can just simply put, we'll have a 1/2 slice of bread. Now, what if I wanted to offer pancakes? Well, I'm going to go to Choose My Plate, and I'm going to look and see if they have pancakes. Sure enough, they do. So it's right there in the middle of the screen. So it says that 2 small pancakes is 1 ounce, but the requirement is a 1/2 ounce. So I'm going to divide. So on my next day, I could put, I could put 1 small pancake. And again, this is going to be typed, so it would be a lot nicer, but I'm using the pencil to make it easy. So for those 2 days, my grain is done. Now, what about my fruit component? Well, same thing. I'm going to look to see what the minimum portion requirement is for fruit. Now, this is an update that occurred where you can provide a vegetable too for breakfast. Fruit does provide a little bit more calories though, so this will help you meet those dietary guidelines. So for breakfast, it's a 1/2 cup. So what I'm going to do to make it easy is I'm going to just simply put 1/2 cup, 1/2 cup, 1/2 cup, 1/2 cup, 1/2 cup across all 5 days. And then I'm going to think of 5 different fruits and I'm just going to put that in. So I could put orange, I could put apple, I could put blueberries, I can put watermelon, I'm abbreviating shorthand, and then I could put kiwi. Now notice, all of them are different colors throughout the week, and there's no 2 same colors with back to back, right? So I didn't do an orange fruit and then another orange fruit on Tuesday. So that would mean I'm done with my fruit requirement. So then moving on to my snack, I would just want to choose 2 different meal components and be mindful about the portion size does change. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here to my snack portions. So what you'll notice right away is the portion for your fluid milk is different. So for a snack, the fluid milk is only 4 fluid ounces, but for your meals, it's actually 6 fluid ounces. Then you would pick any 2 meal components. So when we look at the meal components, fluid milk is 1, meat and meat alternatives is 2, vegetables is another one, fruit is another, and then grain is another. So you would want to pick any 2 meal components to make a snack. Alrighty. And then again, follow these portion sizes for the 3 to 5-year-old. I'm gonna go back to my menu and we'll just pretend that all of those snacks were filled out. Now I'm gonna do lunch. So same thing, what about the milk? I'm gonna put in 3/4 cup low fat, 3/4 cup low fat, 3/4 cup low fat, 3/4 cup low fat, 3/4 cup low fat of the fluid milk. I'm gonna do the same thing for my fruit and my vegetable that we did for the breakfast, but let's make sure that the portion size is what it should be. So here I'm going back to my lunch. So here's the lunch portion requirement for 3 to 5-year-olds. And I'm going to find my vegetables right here. And my vegetables is 1/4 cup, and then my fruit is 1/4 cup. Going back to my menu, all I'm gonna put then is 1/4 cup of some type of vegetable, and then 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup. I'll repeat that with veggies and fruit. So again, it's also 1/4 cup for fruit. So it's a 1/2 cup of produce total, 1/4 cup coming from vegetables, 1/4 cup coming from fruit. Again, I can name 5 different vegetables: carrots, bell peppers, cucumbers, potatoes, and broccoli, right? And then I would just want to make sure we're all 5 of those different colors. And then I would repeat 5 different fruits throughout the week. One thing I would want to check is if I said kiwi again, I want to make sure that kiwi is not offered on the same day. All right. Now, one thing to note about fruit, you can provide juice, but it cannot be more than 50%. And then another thing is when we go to choose my plate, so let's go back here to choose my plate. I'm going to click on fruit, and then I'm going to click learn more. Now, this will only provide you what counts as 1 cup of fruit, but I want to point out dried fruit. So if I look at dried fruit, which is right here at the bottom, dried fruit, a 1/2 cup of dried fruit equals 1 cup of regular fruit. That means on here, I'm just going to scroll down really fast. So if 1 cup of fruit equals the equivalent of a 1/2 cup of dried fruit, that means it's 50%, right? So the requirement for the lunch for children is 1/4 cup fruit. But if you're going to offer dried fruit, such as raisins, then it needs to be 1/8 cup. Or if you're gonna have prunes or any other type of dried fruit, it would be 1/8 cup, not 1/4. Okay, so that's where if you're gonna plug in, so if you're gonna plug in that default portion all the way across, but then you offered, let's just say prunes here, you would wanna adjust that to 1/8 cup. Now, I've already shown you how to access the grains and looking on Choose My Plate. So let's go ahead and look at the meat alternatives. Let's say you wanted to offer here a meat alternative such as an egg or cheese or peanut butter. You're gonna stick with this portion size here. So it would be 1.5 ounces of cheese. It would be 3/4 of a large egg, or it would be 3 tablespoons of peanut butter. So that's just, again, what you'd want to do when you're planning the menu. So for me personally, what I like to do is I like to choose my meat first. So I would say this would be what I want to serve each week, and then I'm going to go look and fill in the portion size. Okay, and again, that portion size, we're going to follow this meal pattern and look at what the portion size is here according to the 3 to 5-year-old category. That is a brief introduction to menu designing.